Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Process Builder. This video is for anybody who is getting started with Process Builder or who has a general idea on Process Builders. And this was a use case from Isabel in Success Community. So I decided to make a video and help anybody who is trying to kind of solve similar problems, or you can even apply this knowledge to your future process builders. So here you go. Today's scenario is if you have a parent account, and anytime you change the rating of the parent account, it should update all the children accounts rating with the same as parent account. But there is also a filter on the children account. So let's say if TNR Corp has 10 child accounts, only if those child accounts meet certain criteria, only then the process should update those rating values of those children accounts. So before Process Builder, you would need to write a trigger for this, but now we can use Process Builder to do this, and we can even do a filtering on the records that you want to update. So let's get started. So go to your setup and we find Process Builder, click new, and I'm gonna say update child accounts. One, and I'm gonna say record changes, click save. And since we are firing this object on account, we are firing the process on account, we create account here, type account, and only when a record is created or when a record is created or edited. So we need the second scenario because anytime the account rating changes, so it needs to be the second criteria, and save it. Now when rating changes. Alright, so to be able to use when rating changes, you cannot use the first one. You cannot use this directly. So you need to actually use the formula, and the formula will be, if you go to your functions, and if you don't know which one it belongs to, is changed. That's a function that we'll use here, and we will put field rating. Everything is really simple. If you're just using all these functionalities right here, you can pick operators, variables, function, and field, so you don't need to copy paste any values. And this is not the same as formula field syntax. So there is square bracket dot rating, so always pick it from this value. Don't try to copy paste the API names. And while you're here, let me explain a minor thing for a moment. Since account can have multiple hierarchy, so as you can see, if you go back to the account, there is a parent account field. So you could have an account, let me see if I have an example. You could have an account which is multiple hierarchy, right? So it depends on your use case if you want your process to fire for every parent or only the top parent. If you want your process to fire only on the top parent, then you also need to include one more criteria right here called and parent ID is equal to null. If we don't use that criteria, it's going to fire for every account. So it will fire for every account and try to look for their children. And if they have children, it will update them. If they don't, it will not. So that's just a quick info right there, and save it. Now time to add actions. So we know what we're doing. We're going to update records. So update child counts, and select the account record that started your process. Select a record related to account. So it's the second one because you are selecting records related to account, even though those are also account. So we say child accounts, choose. um, and right here. So we have two options to choose from. Updated records meet all conditions, or no criteria. So since we know we don't want to update all the child accounts, we only want to update child accounts which have certain criteria. It could be anything depending upon your requirement. I will say, let's say the account source is for example web. If the account source is web, and I'm going to add one more criteria here to make sure that if the rating of account is already same as the parent account, then it doesn't need to update it again. So we don't want to waste a update DML statement, making an unnecessary update if it is already equal. So if account rating is equal, field reference, and account rating. So don't get confused between trying to choose the parent account ID here. I'll tell because since we are on the process builder which is fired from updating the current account, you should always use the current account rating. If you try to use the parent account rating, it will throw you an error if it doesn't see a parent. So we have that. I think I chose it. Rating, account rating, choose. So I'm saying account rating is not equal to, account rating is not equal to the current account rating. So if they're already equal, don't do this. Basically, that's all I'm trying to do here. Account rating. And so what should be the new values for the records that you update? Account rating equals, and we'll use field reference because it depends on the current account rating. And you can update any of the fields depending on what your requirement is. So this part is very important. I have almost never used this filter the records based on the conditions, but this could be one of the requirements. And click save. All right, so activate the flow, very important step. And now let's test it. So I'm going to do a quick check on my records. So the rating is hot, all right, and I'm going to do children, and let's say, just for the sake of testing it, I'm going to change it back to hold. Save it. And it's web. So now if I go back to the parent of that record, test American Banking Corp, and change it to let's say I'll change it to warm, for example. It should update the child to warm also. So let's go back and test it out. All right, so I have the rating warm, and if it had any other children below it, they should also be updated with the same rule. So that's all for today, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.